If you work in marketing, you better start upping your game.
Because you haven't seen anything like us yet.
In just 10 years from now, we'll be buying and influencing buying
in ways that will confound you.
We won't just watch your ads, we'll expect smart, tailored content based on our social graphs.
Tailored for me.
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 And me.
We want to interact with it as we watch it, not just with touch, but with voice,
With gesture.
with intent.
You better embed everything that is featured with additional information, social APIs, and e-commerce functionality.
And we mean everything.
everything.
Everything. The car,
The skirt,
the hotel,
the app.
Because we expect to double tap on anything to get more information.
Don't worry. You'll offset the cost by on-selling any leads to those data aggregator type companies.
We'll spread it through our networks.
And co-create with you.
and when we do buy, there are normally more of us than there are of you. You can change your business
In one trade.
as long as the deal is on.
Augmented reality.
Will be the new reality.
Hello, so nice to see all of you. And now you're happy after lunch, so we can begin. So, imagine you can try on clothes without touching them. Or you can see how furniture looks like in your living room without lifting a finger. This is not science fiction. It's the power of immersive technologies. I guess the slide isn't sliding. Okay, perfect. So today I came here all the way from Portugal. You better know where Portugal is from now on. To talk to you about extended reality, or XR. XR is a spectrum that includes 3 immersive technologies. And here I'm talking about VR, AR, and also MR. Sliding? Yeah. So with augmented reality, the way it works is that we generate virtual elements and we superimpose them in the real world. So for example, we all know Pokemon Go, right? Who remembers when everyone was out hunting out Pikachus? Like it was, yeah, it was crazy. Then we also have virtual reality. VR, it's impressive because it has a lot of immersion. When we put a headset, like Oculus Quest 2 in the photo, we are transported to a whole different and new world. And finally, we have mixed reality. Now, we don't see many people talking about it because it's very complex. Way more complex than the 2 first technologies I talk about. And it has this level of complexity because with MR, we can interact with both digital and physical objects. As you can imagine, this is way more difficult to code. And mixed reality is just the perfect tool to use in complex training programs, like, for example, in medical fields. Now, let's look at the state of XR. Here I have a graph about VR and AR. And here I'm focusing on these 2 technologies because they're the most used and the most known. But we can see that from 2017 to 2023, its adoption has been growing. And I know this graph is about the US, not the world, but I can assure you that this is happening all around the world. So its adoption is increasing, and from 2024 to 2029, it's expected to grow at a rate of 9% a year. Now, these numbers are very good when we talk about a technology that is still gaining in structure and its users. Now, XR is changing our lives in several ways. There are a lot of great applications that XR can have. And here I chose 2. Healthcare, not health car, like it's in the slides. Yeah, but healthcare and also education. Now, in healthcare, it's just amazing all the things we can do with XR. For example, we have therapy and rehabilitation. Okay, I want to ask you a question. Please tell me the truth. Who here has any phobia or any fear? I have one. Okay. Just 10 people out of... Okay. Everyone has fears, right? I think the most common ones are fear of flying, or claustrophobia, or you might even have fear of public speaking. You know what? There are already VR apps that can help you with this. Psychologists are using these apps to solve, well, not solve, but for you to overcome these fears. Because when you are immersed in these situations, you can overcome it. So one thing is you going to psychologists and say, oh, I'm so afraid of heights. And another thing is you experience the situation until you can overcome it. Other example that we have is surgical planning and simulation. Here, the photo on the left, we have, this is a project that is happening in Portugal, where I came from, remember? Yeah. This is happening at Champalimau Foundation, and it's a project, it's a very interesting one, where researchers are using AR and both AI. And what they're doing is the following. So they superimpose the breast tumor on the patient's skin, and doctors know exactly where to remove the tumor. So as you can imagine, it decreases a lot the number of surgeries they had to do, and the efficiency of the surgeries just skyrockets. Then we also have education. And I love to talk about this because I wish I had these tools when I was at school. Let's talk about immersive learning. One thing is if I tell you that we're going to learn about history by reading a book. Another thing is you experience history. You going there, I don't know, and experience the 20s or maybe even Lisbon earthquake. It's impressive and it's memorable, and you're going to retain all that information. And there are already studies that show this. So immersive learning, when compared to traditional learning, it's just surpassing the rates of retention of the students. Another application or situation, if you wish, that is going to change our lives has to do with this. AR glasses. Believe it or not, I think AR glasses are going to be our new phones on the next few years. So all of us, we're just going to use regular glasses, maybe sunglasses or other kinds of glasses, and it's going to change the way we interact with each other and we interact with the world. So a good opportunity that I see here is for brands to innovate their communication, because we're going to have a lot of digital inputs in our lives in the next few years. So when we talk about brand communication, this is the key to successful marketing. Brand communication is the way how brands share their values, their products, their vision, their mission, and it's very important for a brand. And brand communication is changing because technology is also changing, and rapidly. So today, it's no longer enough for brands just to have a basic digital ad or a TV commercial. They need to innovate and adapt to the year we're living in. This is especially true when we talk about the new generation of consumers that we saw in the video in the beginning. I'm not talking about TikTokers. I'm talking about Generation Z and Alpha generation. These kids and teenagers, they are used to interaction and engagement. They are digital natives, which means they grew up with both technology and the internet. So they don't want to just hear about a brand, they want to experience it. Yes? They want to be an active role, have an active role on the brand story. Yeah. So how can brands do this? I believe that immersive technologies are a solution and a good opportunity for brands to meet their expectations. And here I see 3 good opportunities. The first one has to do with customer experiences. So when we talk about shopping and retail, for example, AR is a very good solution for customer experiences, because augmented reality just communicates differently the way a product looks and feels. You agree, right? So one thing is if I show you how the product looks and feels. Other thing is like if I show you just photos, it's completely different. And because consumers are going to have to be more confident on their buying, it can lead to more sales. And it also will lead to decreasing product returns. So it's a win-win for both consumers and retailers. The other opportunity that I see here, it has to do with innovative marketing campaigns. And the two key benefits that I see, it's one, increasing the consumer engagement, because having an AR experience is just so unique that all of the participants are going to be engaged in it. And the other benefit that I see, it has to do with brand awareness. These kind of experiences make a really big buzz around the brands. People want to be part of it, and people want to participate. This is very important. Here in the photo, we have a Coca-Cola campaign from last year, and it was called Take a Taste Now. So you would scan a QR code on the outdoor, and you would try to grab a digital bottle. So it was a kind of a game. And if you did grab it, you'd win a voucher for a real bottle. Now, maybe you might be thinking this is a very simple experience, but everyone is going to remember it because it's fun. Maybe your kids are going to want to grab the bottle for you, but you're going to remember. It's simple, it's in fact effective, and it's a good way to use technology in brand's favor. Lastly, we have brand activations. And here I always like to talk about brand activations because at my company, Immersiv Studios, we work a lot with brand activations. So brand activations are basically the experiences and all the activations that the brands do at live events. Here in the photo, we have a VR game that we developed for Ibis hotels. So it's very big hotels chains in Europe, and I think they also have hotels in the US. And we created a VR game for them to use in Rock in Rio. So Rock in Rio is a music festival that it happens both in Portugal and Brazil. And it's actually happening now in Portugal. So I just flew down here just to speak, and I'm going to come back for the next weekend. And what we've been seeing from this activation and what our client is just giving us as feedback is that people that participate in this game have a stronger connection with the brand. Now, you might be thinking if this is true, but hear me out. When participants experience this game, that is so different from the other activations, and it's interactive and it's fun, people start making positive associations with this brand. So they're starting to thinking that Ibis brand is fun, Ibis brand is cool, yeah. And also, we can talk about brand visibility, as you might know. So because of this activation, Ibis is getting a lot of buzz at the music festival because we're the only VR activation. So we've already talked about the importance of immersive technology and also the opportunities that I think that are going to be big for brands. So what are the next steps? It's an S missing. What are the next steps for brands? The first one would be to really study and understand your consumer expectations. So a lot of people think that these immersive experiences has as primary audience younger generations, as we've seen in the video. But this is not quite true. There is already research that shows that consumers of all ages are open to these experiences. So maybe brands should do their homework and understand what kind of experiences they can adapt to their products or their campaigns. And here I think we should keep in mind that AR is preferred over VR. And this might be obvious because, of course, AR is more accessible. If I want to experience an AR campaign, for example, I just grab my phone, right? Just scan a QR code, and then I access it. And for a VR game, I need to put on the headset, for example. But there is also another very interesting reason. So this year, Future Today Institute released a report about the metaverse and also XR technologies that say that people prefer AR over VR because we actually prefer experiences that complement rather than replace the real world. Yeah. So we don't want to be isolated. We just want to live in the real world, but we want to have these digital inputs. We want to extend our reality, not to replace it. Okay. The next step for brands, I would say, is to really adapt brand strategies to include these immersive experiences. And here I'm talking about personalized interactive experiences. So personalization means tailoring this content to your audience. So keeping in mind what are their needs, behaviors, and even thinking of maybe using other technologies to do it, AI, for example. And when we talk about interactive experiences, I want to say that consumers, not just the youngest ones, but consumers don't want just to, as we've seen, passively consume content. It's important today that consumers are an active role of the brand's history, of the brand story. So, to wrap up, we are here at this moment. We're not the visionaries that started this XR revolution, but we are early in the process. As we've seen, XR is it's still not a buzzword like AR, and we're still early in the process. So brands that get early will be more adept when we get to mainstream adoption. And especially we that work in XR, we're going to refine these technologies so they become more appealing and more accessible so we can get quicker to the main adoption. Yeah. So just to wrap up, I just want to share this quote. I think most of you know it, but it's true. So the best way to predict the future is really to create it. We can create the future. And we are working in XR are really making an effort to make this happen and to lead in this innovation curve. So the question here is, are you going to join us? Please, don't miss out on the opportunity to lead in immersive experiences. Thank you.